But still you have the people say, it's my right. We have a hardship, you know. We have this difficulty. I heard a fatwa. Somebody gave a fatwa, said I could do this or that with riba. What you want to do on this, you want to look real close. Because if somebody said the fatwa said you could do riba, this is strange. Now there are fatwa which say that a certain type of business dealing is not riba. This is what you want to look for. And be careful of that too. But at least understand that nobody can tell you that it's halal to do riba, any more than they can tell you it's halal to eat pork. I was sitting some of the Malay scholars today from Malaysia. We were sitting together and I was asking them some questions and trying to get some better understanding. I do that wherever I go. I like to learn from the teachers. And we were talking about the subject of Dharura. Now, how many of you know what's Dharura? You know what it is? Whenever there's a need, whenever there's a condition that's a prevailing condition which is extreme, it's not something normal, then there is ruksa. Ruksa is a concession for Dharura, which is something that's out of the ordinary that you can't handle. An example of it. Let's take an easy example. Everybody here, we like to eat, right? Now all of a sudden we find out tomorrow, for whatever reason, maybe the mad cow disease or something in Europe, who cares? But now there's no more cows, no more sheep, no more goats, no more chickens. All we got left is pigs. There's nothing else to eat. If I don't eat the pig, I'm gonna die. My family will die, all of the Muslims will die. So now, can we eat the pig, yes or no? Yes. It's the law in Islam, you have to. You're not allowed to starve to death. You're not allowed to make that decision. This is very clear. You must eat that until something comes available that is halal. You can eat that. You must eat something to stay alive. You eat the minimum, you know, don't pig out. Yeah, this is, I don't know, some of you may not know that. Maybe you never heard that before. But this is clear. This is why it's called Dharura, and this is what Ruksa is. And another example of it, it's a little simpler for you to understand, I think, is when you are doing your salah. How many rakahs are there in Dhuhr? Any doubt in your mind about that? What about Asr? What about Maghrib? What about Isha? What if somebody, you saw some guy just pray 2 rakahs and he left the masjid and you said, hey, was it 2 rakahs? Was that just a greeting of the masjid? You forgot to pray? What happened? He said, no, it's Dhuhr. What would you tell him? Is there such a thing that somebody could pray 2 rakahs for Dhuhr or Asr or Isha? It is what? Musafir, the traveler, he does pray only 2 rakahs. And I ought to know, I travel more than I'm at home. Now this is a good example right here. I had some brothers, in our country anybody can be imam. If you know 2 surahs, you're an imam. I'm serious. But I had one of our brothers was trying to tell me, well, you travel so much, you can't shorten your prayers and combine them anymore. I said, really? He said, yeah, it doesn't make sense. If you're only going to be home 3 months out of the year, this year I won't even be home 2 months out of the whole year. Inshallah. But he said, so that shouldn't apply to you. I said, what school did you go to? He didn't go to any school. He just figured it out by his head. No, that didn't work like that. No, this ruksa, concession, is as long as you're traveling. In fact, as long as you consider yourself a traveler. If I stay here in Malaysia for a year, but consider myself a traveler, I can still do the traveler's prayers until I consider myself to be a resident here. This was done by Sahabi during the early days of Islam. And this is how we know it from them. So we see that this is a ruksa. This is a concession Allah gives you. Aha. So some people, when we come back to the subject of the money, dealing in this riba, they say, well, you know, because we live in a hardship. We got a big hardship. What's the hardship that you got? Well, if I stay in a house that I rent, you know, at the end of the day, what happens, I spent all the money, I don't have anything. But if I buy a house, then after 20 years, 30 years, I own it. So that's why I have to do this. Sounds good, doesn't it? Makes sense, doesn't it? But we forgot about the prison paradise rule. If Allah wanted you to have it, He'd give it to you. If Allah didn't give you the way to do it, then why did you think you could do that? And if you said, well, the Sahabi, they owned their houses, it's true, they did. And by the way, most of you didn't know this, but you can afford a cash money right now to buy a house like they had. It's pretty easy, yeah. A cardboard box doesn't cost that much. They didn't live in the kind of houses we have. Now, some of them had palaces. And I was in the ruins of one of them, near Medina. And they're pretty big, but even those are crude. They're just stones piled up. That's all it was. So we have to stop and think about this. If you don't have the money to buy, there are many ways that you can get what you want that are halal, like working and saving. What a concept that is. You know, live meager, live within your means and save your money. But you want to show off for your friends, so you need to have a big house. Whoa. Ooh, and I'm fasting too. Yeah. Yeah. Another way is that you can borrow halal money from people. And that is, it doesn't have any interest on it. But not too many people want to loan it to you, is it?
في روحه عزم عظيم في الهمة الكبرى تجسد يغشى